Okay, so you landed an interview for a commissioning technician role.
Congrats.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah, getting the interview is a huge step, so,
Yeah,
you
definitely.
should already be proud of yourself.
Absolutely.
But now comes the part that makes, I think, even the most confident person
Right.
sweat a little bit. Actually acing the interview.
Yeah.
No worries, though. That's what we're here for.
Absolutely.
We're diving deep into RoleCatcher's resources on commissioning technicians today
Okay.
to make sure you walk into that interview feeling cool, calm,
Yes.
and collected.
Yeah, you're right. Getting the interview is often the hardest part.
Right.
And while preparation is key,
Mm-hmm.
it's not just about memorizing facts and figures.
Yeah.
It's about understanding what hiring managers are really looking for when they ask those questions.
Right.
So today, we'll break down some common interview questions for commissioning technicians.
Okay.
Look at some clever ways to approach those questions and what you can highlight in your answers. And even touch on how RoleCatcher can give you that extra edge
Yeah.
during your prep.
I like it. So let's jump right in. RoleCatcher's sample questions include a real classic.
Yeah.
What relevant experience do you have working with control systems? I feel like this one comes up in almost every technical interview I've ever had.
It does, it does. And it's more than just a chance to list off every software you've ever used.
Right.
They want to hear about how you've actually applied your knowledge of control systems in real-world situations.
Yeah.
So think back to projects where you really got your hands dirty, maybe troubleshooting a complex automation sequence.
Right.
Or integrating a new system into an existing setup.
Yeah.
Those are the stories that will make your interviewer sit up and take notice.
It's all about showing, not just telling.
Exactly, exactly.
I imagine you'd want to tailor those experiences to the specific job you're going for.
Absolutely.
Like, if the job description emphasizes PLC programming,
Yeah.
you'd want to have a killer example of a time you aced a PLC programming challenge.
Absolutely. Speaking of PLC programming,
Okay.
one question RoleCatcher highlights is, how do you approach troubleshooting electrical systems?
Okay.
This is a big one for commissioning technicians.
Definitely. This isn't a job for folks who get frazzled when a circuit breaker trips.
Right.
So how would you recommend someone answers this question without sounding like they just memorized a textbook definition of troubleshooting?
That's such an important point.
Yeah.
Anyone can memorize steps,
Right.
but they want to see that you can think critically
Right.
and calmly under pressure.
Yeah.
So start by outlining your systematic approach.
Okay.
Maybe you always check schematics first.
Okay.
Or maybe you have a go-to diagnostic tool you rely on.
Mhm.
Whatever your process is, describe it clearly and concisely, and
Okay.
then
Yeah.
give them a real-world example.
Ooh, I like that.
Have a story ready about a time you successfully troubleshooted a tricky electrical issue.
Ooh, I like that. It's like, okay, here's how my brain works, and here's proof that it works well.
That's exactly it. And you know what can help with that?
What?
RoleCatcher's AI.
Oh,
You can actually plug your answers into their system,
Oh.
and it'll give you feedback based on the specific job description
Oh, cool.
you're interested in. It's like having a personal interview coach in your pocket.
That's so cool. So it's not just generic advice.
No.
It's tailored to the role you're going for.
Exactly. It analyzes keywords, the tone of your answer, everything.
Oh, wow.
And speaking of tailoring your answers,
Okay.
have you ever considered how understanding career progression
Okay.
could actually help you in an interview?
Okay.
RoleCatcher's career guide outlines typical responsibilities for commissioning technicians at different levels,
Uh-huh.
from entry level all the way up to lead roles.
So even if you're just starting out, it helps to know where you could be headed.
Exactly.
That's smart.
It shows ambition and a commitment to growing with the company.
Which brings us to another question from RoleCatcher. How do you ensure compliance with safety protocols during commissioning? Safety is a huge deal in this field, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And when they ask this, they
Yeah.
want more than just a, yeah, I follow the rules kind of answer.
Right.
They need to know you understand the why behind the rules
Okay.
and that you're proactive about safety.
So instead of just saying, I wear my PPE,
Right.
you'd want to talk about, say, a time you implemented a new safety checklist or
Yes, perfect example.
how you've conducted risk assessments in your previous role.
Think of it this way. They want to see that you don't just follow protocols passively,
Okay.
but that you actively champion safety in every aspect of your work.
That makes sense. And speaking of showcasing your experience, I love that RoleCatcher suggests putting together a portfolio.
Yeah.
That seems like such a smart move for a commissioning technician.
Absolutely.
You could include things like your certifications, details on successful projects,
Mhm.
or even examples of how you've implemented safety procedures.
It's a great way to build trust and credibility with the hiring manager.
Yeah.
It's like saying, hey, I don't just talk the talk, I can walk the walk too.
Right.
And speaking of walking the walk,
Okay.
let's talk about another key aspect of being a commissioning technician: staying within budget and on schedule.
It's true. Time is money, as they say,
Mhm.
and no one wants a project to go over budget or miss a deadline.
Right.
It's all about finding that balance between technical expertise and making sure things get done efficiently.
Right.
And it looks like RoleCatcher has a question about just that.
Okay.
They suggest being ready to answer. How do you ensure that commissioning is completed on time and within budget?
Woo, that's a great one. This is your chance to showcase your organizational skills
Okay.
and any experience you have with project management.
Yeah.
Have you used any project management software in the past?
Ooh, yeah. Name dropping some key software can't hurt, right?
Right.
Like, I've dabbled with Trello for my own personal projects, but I imagine something like Microsoft Project or Jira would be more impressive in a commissioning technician role.
Exactly. But don't just mention the names. Go a step further and talk about how you've used these tools.
Okay.
Maybe you used Jira to track your team's progress on a complex installation.
Right.
Or perhaps you're a pro at using Microsoft Project to allocate resources and foresee potential bottlenecks.
Yeah.
That kind of detail shows you're not just familiar with the tools, you know how to use them effectively.
It's about painting that picture for the hiring manager.
Yes.
Helping them see you in action, managing tasks, and keeping things running smoothly.
Exactly. Now let's shift gears a bit to a question that often makes people nervous.
Okay.
How do you handle conflicts or disagreements with team members during commissioning projects?
Oh, I bet.
It's one of those curveball questions
Yeah.
that can really throw you off if you're not prepared.
It feels like you could easily walk into a trap with this one.
Yep.
Like, you don't want to seem like someone who causes conflict, but you also don't want to appear naive and say you've never had a disagreement with a coworker.
You hit the nail on the head.
Right.
The key here is to demonstrate emotional intelligence
Okay.
and strong communication skills.
Yeah.
Instead of pretending you've never faced a conflict,
Right.
focus on how you approach disagreements constructively.
So instead of dwelling on a specific argument,
Right.
you talk about your active listening skills.
Yes.
Maybe how you try to understand different perspectives.
Exactly.
Or even your ability to find common ground and reach a compromise.
Precisely. Hiring managers are looking for someone who can de-escalate tense situations,
Right.
communicate effectively,
Yeah.
and ultimately find solutions that work for everyone involved.
It makes sense. In a role like this, you're constantly collaborating with others,
Yes.
from engineers to contractors to other technicians.
Right.
Being able to navigate those relationships effectively is critical.
Yeah. Exactly. It's all part of being a team player.
Right.
And speaking of being a team player, let's switch gears a bit and talk about some of those personal qualities
Okay.
that make a great commissioning technician.
Okay.
RoleCatcher has a question that's a bit open-ended, but it's a really good one. What do you think are the most important qualities for a commissioning technician to possess?
Okay.
What are your initial thoughts on this one?
I like it. It gives you a chance to show you've really thought about the role
Right.
and what it takes to succeed. It's not just about knowing your stuff technically.
Exactly.
It's about those soft skills that make you a valuable asset to a team.
Yes.
What kind of qualities would you highlight if you were in the hot seat?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I think attention to detail is huge in this role. A tiny oversight can have big consequences.
Right.
So being meticulous is crucial.
Yeah.
Along those same lines, having a methodical approach to problem solving is really valuable.
Oh, absolutely. You need to be able to think logically, break down complex problems into manageable steps,
Right.
and stay calm under pressure,
Yes.
especially when you're dealing with tight deadlines or unexpected issues cropping up.
Right. It's about keeping a cool head when things get chaotic.
Yeah.
And on that note, I think adaptability is another crucial quality.
Okay.
Commissioning projects can be unpredictable.
Right.
So being able to adjust to changing circumstances, learn new things quickly,
Right.
and think on your feet is essential.
It's about being resourceful and solution-oriented, even when you're thrown a curveball.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that actually ties into another important quality for commissioning technicians,
Okay.
a commitment to lifelong learning.
Because the field is always evolving, right?
Exactly.
New technologies, new techniques, new industry standards. You can't just rest on your laurels.
Right.
You've got to stay curious and keep learning throughout your career.
You got it.
Yeah.
And I think hiring managers really pick up on that desire to grow and evolve. Speaking of staying ahead of the curve,
Okay.
RoleCatcher's last question is all about that. How do you stay up to date with new technologies and industry best practices in commissioning?
Okay.
What are your thoughts on tackling that one?
It's true. Technology moves so fast these days, especially in a field as technical as commissioning.
Mm.
It's not enough to just coast on what you learned in school or in your previous job. You've got to actively seek out new knowledge and keep your skills sharp.
Exactly. And you want to show the hiring manager that you're doing just that.
Right.
Don't be afraid to get specific.
Okay.
Do you subscribe to industry magazines,
Uh-huh.
attend webinars, or participate in online forums?
Okay.
Let them know.
It's about showcasing that initiative, right? Like you're not just waiting for someone to hand you knowledge. You're out there seeking it out.
Exactly. And if you're working towards any relevant certifications,
Right.
like the Certified Commissioning Professional or the Certified Energy Manager, definitely mention those.
Right.
It shows a real commitment to your professional development.
It's like saying, I'm invested in this field, and I'm constantly pushing myself to be better. And on that note, I've got to say, I'm really impressed with the resources RoleCatcher provides for job seekers. Their questions are really well thought out, and they do a fantastic job of breaking down what hiring managers are really looking for in a candidate.
It's true. They go beyond just listing typical interview questions. They've really created a roadmap for understanding the why behind those questions and how to craft answers that will make you stand out.
It's like having a secret weapon in your back pocket.
So,
And speaking of secret weapons, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't circle back to RoleCatcher's AI tools one last time. Being able to practice your answers and get personalized feedback, it's like having your own interview coach, which is invaluable.
it's like having a personal editor for your interview skills. It can give you that extra boost of confidence knowing that you've got all your bases covered, and that confidence can make all the difference when you're sitting across from a hiring manager.
Couldn't agree more. Well, I don't know about you, but I feel like we've covered a ton of ground today. And honestly, I feel way more prepared for a commissioning technician interview now than I did an hour ago.
Me too. We've talked about everything from technical expertise and safety to project management, and even the soft skills that can make or break your success in this field.
And most importantly, we've given our listeners the tools and strategies they need to approach their interviews with confidence and land that dream job.
Remember, you've got this. Preparation is key. And with a little effort and the right resources, you'll be well on your way to acing that interview and taking your career to the next level.
I go out there and knock them dead.